Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Science for Everyone. Today, the topic is related to immunology, and the topic of my today's lecture is the types of adaptive immunity. I'm pretty sure that you guys really know about it, that what is basically the types of, what are the types of adaptive immunity, but most of the students are confused in the terms that is acquired natural active immunity, acquired natural passive immunity, and artificial active immunity, artificial passive immunity. So they are a bit confused in these terms, and when there are MCQs related to these such type of concepts, so most of the students are confused in it, and they make the wrong choice to that MCQs. Okay, and this is just because these terms are quite interrelated with each other, so that's why the students get confused. But in today's video, I will discuss it in a very simple and a detailed and a conceptual way, and I'm pretty sure that at the last you will easily know about that the actual answer to the MCQs when you are asked in the exams. Okay, so I have prepared it in my way, and it will give you benefit. Okay, so watch the video till end, and then you will answer all the questions related to this such type of concept. Okay, first of all, let's start with the video lecture. So this is a schematic diagram about the acquired immunity. First of all, just I want to share with you guys that what is basically acquired immunity, or it is also known as specific immunity or adaptive immunity. So it is one is innate immunity, that it can react to any type of pathogens, and the other is acquired immunity, that it can only react to a specific pathogen that enters the body. Okay, so acquired immunity is divided basically into two types. One is the natural immunity and the other is the artificial immunity. Okay, so as the name indicates that natural immunity is manufactured, or sorry, it is our immune system is naturally activated. Okay, so that is this is known as natural immunity. So if we divide it into active immunity and passive immunity, so then I will give you the examples of the active immunity and passive immunity that is related to natural immunity. Okay, so as the name indicates, the natural immunity and the artificial immunity. So natural immunity is the specific immunity that is manufactured, or that is created by a person naturally. Okay, so that is basically known as natural immunity. And artificial immunity is the type of immunity when it is for example, it is prepared by the human beings in the laboratory, and then after that it is injected into the person. Okay, so it is basically known as artificial immunity. So there is also in artificial, there is also active and passive immunity, and in the natural immunity it is also, there is also having active and passive immunity. But first of all, don't be confused, just think about the natural and the artificial. Okay, so then you will be easy. First you should clear up the concept of the natural and artificial. When you are clear about these terms, so then you can easily, you will not be confused in the active and the passive immunity. Okay, so I will give you the examples, and with the help of example I will make you clear about the natural and the artificial immunity. Okay, so let's proceed further. Okay, first I will take the natural immunity. Okay, and I will give you each and every example of the natural immunity. After that I will give you the example of the artificial immunity. So just look here, natural immunity is acquired to the normal life experience. Just look here, as I have told you that it is experienced to normal life experience. There is no role of laboratory, for example, no such type of medicines and vaccines are given to a person, but it is naturally produced inside a human body. Okay, so that's why it is known as active and natural immunity, and it is divided into active immunity and passive immunity. So now here is a bit difference in between the natural and the active and the passive. If we look here to the active immunity, so this is first number, it is the active immunity. Okay, active immunity, just I write double A. Okay, so very simple example is that if a person is exposed to a foreign particle, for example, this is a person and he is exposed to a foreign antigen, or for example a bacteria or a virus. Okay, for example, this is the a virus. Don't judge my drawing. I just want to explain it in my way, in a simple way. So for example, this is a person and he is exposed to an antigen. For example, this is a virus. So as we know that our immune system will react to it and will form different immune cells and antibodies against the pathogen in order to kill it or in order to neutralize it. Okay, so if I change the color, okay, wait a minute. Okay, so the yellow color is just the antibodies. Okay, so when an antigen enters our body, so different immune cells are activated, and and also antibodies are produced. Okay, and what does this antibodies and this immune cells do? It basically neutralize the antigen, or it directly kills the antigen. Okay, so it is completely natural. It is formed by our body. Okay, and it is completely natural, so that's why it is known as active immunity. Okay, just because of our action that is actively against performing against the pathogen, so this is known as active immunity. So if someone asks you that why it is known as active immunity, so your answer will be that when an antigen enters our body, so our body immune system acts against each other, and a special type of proteins and cells are produced that are neutralizing and destroying the antigen. Okay, so that's why it is known as active. So we are actively responding to the pathogen, so that is why it is known as natural active immunity or acquired nature immunity. So these antibodies are a good example of the active immunity that are formed by our body. Okay, so just look here, this is a person and he is having fever something, and his immune system is has started responding to that antigen, and it is because of it he is experiencing fever and different other type of symptoms. Okay, the second example is the second is the passive immunity. Okay, acquired natural passive immunity. So if we write okay the two number, so sorry, if I write natural passive immunity. Okay, just like acquired or adaptive natural and passive immunity, it is just named like this, acquired natural passive immunity. So one example of it is that when the baby that is present in the placenta of a mother. Okay, when the mother has not given birth to the baby. Okay, if he is present in the placenta of his mother or her mother, so what happens when the mother is exposed to an antigen and the mother is producing antibodies against that pathogen, just like this. Okay, if when he is present in the placenta of his mother and his mother is exposed to an antigen and she is producing antibodies against that pathogen. Okay, so there is a chance that these antibodies can cross the placenta and enters the fetus. Okay, so if we just mark it like this, so this is the fetus. Okay, so when this antibodies crosses the placenta, okay, so it can enters to the baby. Okay, it can enters to the baby and the baby can directly get immune to that antigen. Okay, if for example the mother is exposed to a flu virus. Okay, and she has made antibodies against the flu virus. Okay, so when that antibodies that are specific for the flu virus when it is passed through the placenta and enters the baby, so that baby will get directly immune to influenza virus. Okay, just because of the antibodies that has come from the mother. So it is basically natural passive immunity. Why it is known as passive immunity? Because it is manufactured by the mother, and after that, inside the mother, it has transferred to the baby. So that's why it is the baby has not actively respond to the pathogen by himself. He has just borrowed the antibodies from his mother, but it is natural, okay, because the mother is actively and naturally producing antibodies against the pathogen, and after that antibodies are transferred to the baby. So it is produced naturally, but it is given to the baby in a passive way. Okay, so that's why it is known as acquired natural passive immunity. Other example of this acquired natural passive immunity is that for example, often doctors ask the mother that you should feed your baby when the baby is born. So the first and the second, the mother milk is very much necessary for the baby, because the milk contains high amount of antibodies that is produced by the mother against certain pathogens that is inside her body. So that milk, that is also known as colostrum, that milk contains antibodies. When the baby drink that milk, so the antibodies are actively that antibodies are passively get inside the baby, okay, and he get immune to the diseases. Okay, so this is the second example of the acquired natural passive immunity. Okay, so I think now you have understand that why it is known as active immunity and the passive immunity. Active because it is actively and directly directly formed against the pathogen. Why it is known as passive? So it is made by a first person, and then naturally, and then it is given to the baby in a passive way. Okay, so it was the antibodies of a mother, but it is given to her baby. So that has traveled against the placenta, and it is also present in her milk. So that's why it is known as acquired natural passive immunity. Okay, so hope you have understand these specific terms. Okay, that why these are known as such type of acquired natural active and passive immunity. Now here come the artificial immunity. So in artificial immunity, there is no such role against just like natural immunity. In natural immunity, the person actively formed his own immunity against the pathogen, okay, or it is taken by from another person, okay. And but in artificial immunity, just look here, the first one is the active immunity. Artificial, okay, artificial acquired artificial active immunity. So if I write acquired artificial and active immunity, okay, so now you will come to know by an example. Okay, just look here. It is the consequence of a person developing his own immune response to a microbe. This means that we will in this category, the best example is the vaccines. Okay, the best example is the vaccines. Okay, how vaccines are acting as an artificial active immunity? So vaccines are such type of components of the microbe, or even it is a whole microbe, or even it is a specific antigen or protein of a microbe that is given to a person just to make him immune against that pathogen. Okay, so the person is forming his immunity against the pathogen, but the vaccines are prepared in the laboratory. Okay, these are not directly taken in by the from the environment by the person. It is first manufactured in the laboratory, and after that it is given to a person. So just because of the manufacturing of the vaccines in the laboratory, it is manufactured by by different practitioners and different laboratory worker. So that's why it is known as artificial immunity. And now the same case is the active immunity, that in when vaccines are given to a person, so after some time antibodies will will be made against that pathogen. Okay, so he is acting, he is developing active immunity against that pathogen. But what is the root of that pathogen? It is manufactured in the laboratory. After that, it is given to the, it is basically given to the person, rather he is experiencing by its own or taking it from the environment, just like in the case of the acquired natural active immunity. Okay, so just because of this artificial term, and it is manufactured by the workers in the laboratory and given to a person, so this is basically why this is known as artificial immunity. And now, and the same is that the antibodies are formed against the vaccines, and he got immune. Okay, so this mostly if you look to the diagram, so this person, this child is given vaccine, so after that he gets immune to it. Okay, so that's why it is known as acquired artificial active immunity. Okay, the second one is the acquired artificial passive immunity. Okay, so if I give you an example of acquired artificial passive immunity, so the best example is the bone marrow transplant. Okay, if I write just BMT, so this is known as bone marrow transplant. Okay, so bone marrow transplant is, it is taken from a person. Okay, artificially it is taken from a person and it is injected into a person. So it is, and after that they are the ready-made antibodies. Okay, they are the ready-made antibodies and the immune cells and the hematopoietic stem cells. When they get enters a person, so after that the person starts multiplying it, and it he make different immune cells and antibodies. Okay, so the bone marrow transplant, it is taken from a person, and it is basically the bone marrow is the immunity of another person, but after that it is given to another person by and after that the person uses this bone marrow to manufacture different immune cells. Okay, so that's why it is known as passive immunity, because it is taken from a person and given to another person. Okay, so that's why it is known as passive immunity. It is basically the immunity of a person that is given to a different person. Okay, because he is lacking, he is immunocompromised or other such type of diseases he is having. So there is also artificial, because it is artificial, because the workers are the doctors are taking out the bone marrow through different artificial techniques, and after that it is given to a person. So that's why it is known as artificial. And why it is known as passive? Because it is taken from a person and given to another person, so it is known as artificial passive immunity. The other example is the antibodies or the antitoxins of the Clostridium botulinum. I think so, botulinum, it is pronounced like this. So for example, a person is experiencing a food poisoning that is caused by Clostridium botulinum. Okay, so it is very much I think so the food poisoning of the Clostridium botulinum is quite fatal. Okay, and a person is need immediate recovery. So what will happen, that rather if he is exposed to Clostridium botulinum, so he will make antibodies against it and antitoxins against it, but it will take time. So what happens, the horses the research include that horses are the best species to manufacture antitoxins of the botulinum. Okay, rather getting infected. So what happens, that antitoxins are produced by the horses and they are taken by okay, I will share you the story of it. Okay, the horses are injected by Clostridium botulinum, and after that the horses acts against it, and it produces antitoxins against the Clostridium botulinum. Then antitoxins are then taken by the human beings and they are stored for emergency cases. So if a person is experiencing infections and food poisoning that is related to Clostridium botulinum, so directly the antitoxins are given to that person, that is produced by the horse. So it is produced by the horse, okay, and then it is taken out by the humans, and then it is injected to the person. So that's why it is known as passive, because it is produced by another individual, and then it is that immunity is given to another individual. So that's why it is known as passive immunity, acquired artificial passive immunity. So I am pretty sure that now you have understand that what is the difference between natural immunity and artificial immunity. After that, the what is basically natural immunity, what is basically artificial immunity, and then I think you have understand the active and the passive, and the basic difference between the active and the passive immunity. If at the last, I want to tell you guys that here, if we now compare this active and this active, okay, the natural active immunity and the artificial active immunity. So here also the antibodies are produced, but it is produced by when a person is directly exposed to a pathogen, when it is in the food or in the water or in the environment, okay. And if we just look here, so the doctors are injecting that microbe into the person, okay. So there is a huge difference, and and the difference lies in the exposure, okay. So that's why this is a difference between the natural and artificial, okay. Rather, these two are a bit same, because here also the antibodies are produced, and here also the antibodies are produced, but the exposure is different. Here the exposure is in the environment and it is directly, but here we are giving him the pathogen. So that's why it is known as natural and artificial, and the antibodies are producing in the same rate, okay. So that's why it is active and active. And if you look here to the passive and the passive, so here the immunity is given, the immunity is manufactured naturally by a person, and after that it is given to the other person. But if we look here to the passive immunity, okay, so the immunity that is developed by a person is taken out from him, and it is injected to another person by the with the help of the practitioners, okay. So now here also the exposure is a bit different, so that's why it is known as it is known as natural and artificial, okay. So I think I have tried my best to clear these things with you people, okay. So I think that you have understand it well. Now if there are such type of MCQs related to this, so just keep this unique and specific differences in your mind, and I'm pretty sure that you will able to solve that MCQs, okay. So if you have understand this video, so like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel for more interesting videos related to science. Thank you very much. God bless you.